Hey everybody, Tom Vasel here, and we're going through the Marvel United Multiverse stuff. And today we're taking a look at one of the expansions from it, World War Hulk, which is one of my top 5 storylines in the Marvel comics. It's just super fun, and I like it. And so they added these characters. There are 6 heroes and 3 villains. That's because there's 3 characters in here who are both a hero and a villain. And one of the most unique heroes and villains in the game. Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the heroes in this set. We have Hercules, and he has some really cool special cards. He can ignore 1 damage as long as this card's face up. Also, I like this. He's almost invulnerable, also immortal, which when he recovers from a KO, he gets an extra card. But what makes him really cool are these Olympian cards. So this set has a few ore cards. So these are ores in the bottom. That's fantastic, but also he himself gets a wild every time he plays these. That's pretty good for him. Not as great for his teammates, but it still gives you a lot of options. Doc Samson is really, he's like annoyingly powerful. I actually really dislike him in the comics. But he has these heroic awareness, which is useful. Give 2 heroic tokens to people. When his cards face up, no one can be forced to play their cards face down. Those are great. But what's weird are these Gamma Energy Drain cards. There's 3 of them, and you can turn someone else's hero's card with special effects in the storyline face down. If you do, you get a wild token. Now, that's probably not a big deal, because you can probably find one that's not a big deal to turn down. But sometimes you're stuck, and I could see him being annoying then. And yet, I still think he's kind of cool. Iron Man comes with the only equipment in this set where you can't take any damage for 1 turn, or you can deal unpreventable 3 damage, as long as you didn't do any other damage to somebody. But then you're KO'd. So I'm not sure that's worth it, but it might be worth it. You can only use that one. You can only use each of those 1 time. Iron Man himself is in this suit is all about the attacking. And he has some other cards that are kind of like equipment cards in a sense. Here, if you're about to be KO'd, you can avoid it once. Here you do double damage, canceling their BAM. That's great. And he has 2 of these shockwaves. And then another card here, where you can hit someone for 2. If they damage, they don't move. This one is a really amazing card, especially against villains who move quickly. Now we have the 3 characters who can be a hero or a villain. We'll start with Gladiator Hulk, who is just a fighter. I mean, what were you expecting? A fighting guy, if you have 1 or 2 cards, do 2 damage. This is one of my favorite cards in the game. The one-on-one clash, where you do damage to a single target equal to 5 minus the number of cards in your hand. Get down to 1 card and a villain, that's 4. Oh, they can't be damaged again until the next villain turn, but still. Here, for each damage you do this turn, do an extra damage to the same target. Here, if you defeat a henchman this turn, you get a wild token. Attack, then each other hero attacks at their location. That's great, the Warbound Leader. And here, each time another hero takes 1 or more damage, you get an attack token. Like I said, he's all about fighting. As a bad guy, it's kind of a different story here. World Breaker Hulk is going to be attaching obedience discs to the heroes in your game. So let's talk about some of his other stuff first. He has Korg and Meek and No Name, some minions with him. But he also has 3 cards here that cannot be cleared, moved, or removed from play by any means. Well, how do you deal with that? Well, that's because he comes with a Rage card. It starts with 2 movement tokens on, and whenever he's in a location with no heroes, you take 1 off of this, and you move him to the closest person without an obedience disc. He's trying to get there, because if he's on you, he will give you, he's trying to get you an obedience disc, and he'll do damage to you, and if he takes you out, he doesn't activate his BAM again. He gives you an obedience disc, and if you have an obedience disc, you have to play your card you just played. You have to turn it face down. Pain in the neck. And if everyone has an obedience disc, you all lose. The good news is you can use a heroic action to get rid of one of these obedience discs, to get rid of it, and add a threat token to the clear threats missions, which you're going to need to do since you can only have 3 people to defeat. Meek himself adds a movement to the Rage card, and some of the Hulk's cards here themselves will do things like that as he's building Rage. The rest of these are kind of fairly normal, but he moves around pretty fast. He's a pain in the neck. Next, we have Ares. Ares is for his regular icons, is a nice mix all across. He doesn't have a ton of special cards, but he can do some major damage. You can see that he has some damage ready, and his 4 special cards here, discard a card to the bottom of your deck to defeat a henchman or do 3 damage. Defeating a henchman, that's nice. Here you can redirect damage. I love these 2. And again, notice he has the ores on the bottom of his card. Ares is all about making warriors as a bad guy. You start the game, actually, with all civilians. However, anytime he does a BAM, he does 2 damage. 2 damage! And you also compare the number of thugs in his location to the number on the opposite side, and then he puts a crisis token out, and if a certain number of crisis token, you've lost the game. So he also ignores damage for these. Here, you can see that his starting cards turn a civilian into a thug. If there's no, add 1 thug. And that's pretty much all they are. So you need to clear these out as quick as possible. He moves around, has a few special things to get rid of civilians. So it's kind of weird. He starts with civilians, and after that, he's turning them into thugs. He's pretty middle of the road, I find, to fight and beat, but he definitely feels different. Speaking of different, the Sentry hero is one of the most unique heroes in this game. He starts with a dark entity. So if you don't know, in the comics, Sentry can turn into something called the Void, even though he's a hero. And he has a bunch of good hero cards here, including an extra wild. He has some amazing cards here, almost invulnerable. He draws cards before he takes damage. And someone else, another hero, can do 2 wilds. He does a wild, 3 wilds, 2 wilds. He's unbelievable. But all these cards say put a crisis token on this. And anytime there's 3 or more crisis tokens on this card, we discard them, draw the top card from here. You are immediately KO'd. Or another hero is immediately KO'd. Or someone takes 2 damage. Or bring a random clear threat back into play. Everyone discards an action token and takes a damage. On your next turn, you can forfeit 1 move. That's the best one of the bunch. So he's so risky to use, but he's also so powerful. I think he's going to be divisive on if people like him or not. I'm definitely leaning towards that. I don't like using him. As a villain, he's also kind of weird. The Void here. He has some weird threats. Like 2 of them, as long as the threat's in play, he can't be damaged or defeated. Well, that's a pain. Notice it takes a fighting to get rid of it. This one, though, is helpful. He doesn't activate his BAM if he lands here. He puts a token on this. He's going to help get rid of it. But then he gives crisis tokens to everybody. So he can't be damaged if there's invulnerable tokens on his dashboard. And you can spend heroic to get rid of them, but every time he BAMs, he puts 1 on here. And then he does an unpreventable damage to each hero everywhere. Oh, he's just going to try to run the deck out. And he has so many weird cards here with Tendril Strikes, Molecular Manipulation, which gives people crisis tokens. Here, the Void ignores 1 damage every turn. He is super hard, all right? And he moves 2 people with the civilians. He's erratic. He's crazy. I don't know. He's hard. There's also some new locations. Battle World gives you movement if you reveal a fight. New York City Arena is not great because you have to fight somebody else. Basically, you both discard a card to get tokens. And then Sakar, I like this one a lot. Anyone uses action tokens, put them here, and you can discard a card to get 2 tokens from here. That's pretty fun. This is great. I like having 6 new heroes and 3 new villains. A lot of content in here. The ores on the bottom of the cards, they're like, ooh, that's new. Well, sort of. The Sentry is the most unique person in this set for sure. World War Hulk is cool because he feels like raw, even more so I think than the original Hulk. I mean, because he was, and having Hercules and Ares is kind of neat. If you like the Greek gods, that part of the Marvel universe, you'll like this set. But it's definitely a set about fighting more than any other sets. I mean, Ares is a little weird because he's changing civilians into thugs or soldiers, I guess. But I don't know. I like this set a lot. I'll give this one an 8.5. It's enjoyable. I think you get a lot of content in it. And the Sentry, love the Sentry or hate him. It feels like they went in a unique direction with him. And Doc Samson, I'm really conflicted because I like his character. I hate his character in the comics, but I like his character in here. Oh, what to do? Anyway, that's a World War Hulk expansion for Marvel United. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.